I was
Is
just
duplicate me still there? I tried to eject it.
duplicate you is not here.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
I just ejected myself.
For some reason, you won't know who I am and what I do, what my job is. All right. We'll go with this for now. Hey, everybody. My name is Fraser Cain. I'm the publisher of Universe Today, and this is your weekly space hangout for Friday, January 24th, 2014. And we have a very special episode today. We are going to do an unboxing Lego build of the Mars Curiosity rover. So before we kind of get on to everybody else who's joining us, I got to introduce, we got Ray Sanders, who has been organizing this for a couple of weeks with me, and Ray is going to be unboxing the Lego Curiosity rover, and over the course of this hangout, right, you're going to be building it? That's the plan?
Yeah, that's the plan, Fraser.
All right. And then we also have Stephen Pacbez, who is the designer of the Lego kit, and so he's going to be talking about the kit as Ray attempts to build it, and hopefully Ray will get it finished before the end of the show. What do you think, Stephen? Think he's got a chance?
He'll have to build fast if it's only an hour-long show.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the show goes a little long because, as you can see, we have a crowd. So let's get on with introducing the people we've got here. So we've got Sandy Springman from Arecibo Observatory. We've got Casey Dreyer from the Planetary Society.
Hello.
Got David Dickinson.
Hey, staying warm.
Is a puny human sci writer.
I couldn't put science; it wouldn't fit it all the way. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it was a scroll over.
Yeah.
We got Elizabeth Howell. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey.
You're back from Mars. Oh, that's
Indeed.
that's Alan's thing.
I know he's not here though, so I stole it.
So we want to talk. We're going to talk to you about what happened on Mars. So we'll get back to you in a second as well. We got Mike Simmons from Astronomers Without Borders. Mike, you are sticking around. This is great.
Oh, why not? I've got nothing else to do. No, this is great. I love this.
Awesome. All right. We got Morgan Renberg. Hey, Morgan.
Hi.
And this is your second week too. This is great, man.
It is. I'm
What a
stuck.
crowd. Dr. Nicole Gallucci, the noisy astronomer.
What up, yo?
And as I said, we got our two special guests, Ray and Steven. So we're going to go through that. So now we have got a ton of stories, and I am going to do my best to try and adhere to our hour-long-ish format. But I am warning you, we have got quantum computers, water plumes on Ceres. We've got Elizabeth mock Mars. Upcoming spacewalks, opportunities, 10th anniversary, what's happening with NASA funding, Rosetta waking up, woo! What's going on in the sky with the moon. We've got Venus, this Jupiter rotation. We've got, man, it keeps going on.
Missing my
Chang'e, and of course the new supernova discovered in M82. Supernova. So we're going to get into all of that. So first, before we get onto the stories, we've got the special guest. So let's get onto that. So Stephen, can you please sort of tell us the story of how you got a chance to design a Curiosity rover, and turn it into Lego? It's awesome.
Well, at the time, it was early 2011. I was working at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. In fact, I was working as a mechanical engineer on the actual Curiosity rover, and I'm also a big fan of Lego. It's a big hobby for me. You can see the hundreds and hundreds of drawers of little Lego pieces behind me, and I wanted to make a little Lego model for myself, just so I could show my friends and family what the real Curiosity rover would look like when it was fully assembled, because at the time it was spread around across the entire laboratory. And I also wanted to have a rocker bogie suspension system mechanism to play with on my own, because the guys at JPL don't exactly let new engineers like me go out and take the real rover for joyrides or anything. So in a single 3-day weekend, I had most of it figured out. I showed my friends, family. They told me my friends told me about the Kuso website where you can submit ideas for potential Lego models. And if you get enough supporters, if you get 10,000 supporters, Lego will review your model. And if it passes the review, they'll turn it to an actual Lego set. So I submitted my model with the idea that I'd add it just before the actual rover was launched from Earth, to sort of when it would be in the news, so people would know what it was they were looking at when they saw it on the Kuso page. And I got the 10,000 supporters in another period of good luck timing when it was a couple weeks after the rover landed when I got the 10,000 supporters, which worked out very well time-wise. And from there, it went through the review process, it passed, and now people can get their own little Curiosity rover to play with on their desktops and in their living rooms and see if their house could ever have supported microbial life in the distant past.
Right. If there ever was, environments that could have supported microbial life in their apartment. I love it. So Ray, so can you point your camera down? Can we see what you're up to here? See hung?
I'm actually I'm not hung. I'm actually on my laptop because my desktop PC was acting goofy. So I'll try and tip the camera here. This could be a little bit of a roller coaster ride.
I don't know. You seem frozen up to me. So, but Stephen, you've actually got a copy of the rover in front of you as well, right?
Yes. Would you like me to show it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the official Lego Curiosity rover kit.
There's no plutonium in that, is there?
Well, I mean, there's plastic plutonium in the back.
Okay.
Tiny little bit of plutonium.
Yeah.
Actually, Stephen, weren't you the one who posted that picture of the Back to the Future DeLorean kit with Doc Brown and Marty running off with RTG?
Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny since both vehicles run on plutonium, and the Doc has been known to run off with other people's plutonium before.
That is awesome. So have you got plans for another something else you're going to build now? Rosetta, maybe?
I'm always building things. I don't know if what I build I'll end up putting on Kuso or not. But, every so often I'll do a new spacecraft, and sometimes I'll go into other areas. Right now I'm working on some cool steam engine type models. But, yeah.
And what was the biggest challenge to sort of replicate in Lego?
In Lego, I think one of the most difficult parts was getting this offset differential arm in the right position, because if it's too far forward of the rover or too far back, the rover body will lean forward or backwards, and it has to sit level when it's on a flat surface with all 6 wheels on the ground. And the Lego model found a solution that's quite simple and elegant, and I think it's actually an improvement on the design I had on my original submission.
Oh, so they were able to take your original design and then come up with some ideas on how to make it work better. That's really cool.
Yeah, the official kit is only slightly different from the one I submitted, but for the most part, it's pretty much exactly the same. It'd be hard to see a difference if you compare them side by side.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, let's move on to the news then, and Ray is going to keep working, and every now and then we'll check in on him and see how things are coming. So, all right, and you can stick around, Stephen, if you want, and sort of
sure
come back to the conversation. But we're going to move on to some of the news because, like I said, there's just a mountain. And I know, Casey, you've got a book pretty soon, so why don't we'll start with your story here. Which do you want to start with first? The legislative blitz in D.C.
Yeah, well, actually, first let me say the Opportunity's 10th birthday. Let's celebrate that. That's 10 years of a rover on Mars, no pit stop, tune-up, tweaking, or anything like that, which is pretty fantastic. I keep suggesting the hashtag #OppieBirthday, but it hasn't caught on. So, it's one of those things where we're just super excited about it. We had a show last night on with Bill Nye and the head and Steve Squires, Jim Bell, a bunch of people from the rover team, just to really celebrate that. That was just really cool. So just big congratulations to NASA and JPL and all the engineers and scientists who's made Opportunity run for 10 years on the surface of Mars. That's a third of my entire life.
Oppie's older than Facebook.
Yeah, and iPhones And yeah, MySpace was the dominant social network when Opportunity landed on Mars. So that tells you how much has changed in things. So just wanted to give a shout out to those folks. And then also to kind of say why we need to keep doing this, to make sure we keep exploring Mars and other parts of the solar system. The Planetary Society, along with Explore Mars and Mars Society, is part of the Space Exploration Alliance. We're going to Washington, D.C. in February, February 23rd through 25th. And it's open to everybody who wants to join us. Register. We'll train you how to talk to Congress, and then we'll do a blitz. We'll go visit 100 meetings in 2 days with staff members, Congress people, senators, everybody on the Hill to say, let's explore space. This is a big picture space exploration, planetary robotics, astrophysics, humans to Mars, humans in space. Let's just show politicians that people love space exploration. So check out planetary.org/SOS for more details about that. But the sign-up deadline is February 16th. But anyone is welcome to come. We'll train you how to talk to Congress. So that's a big thing coming up, because in March, early March, they just announced the next budget request is coming out, and this whole sorry story, I'm sure, will repeat this coming year as we fight for more funding for space exploration. So everyone stay tuned for that.
Yeah, last week you brought some good news, but I know that this can't last.
Yeah, the good news, yeah, it was NASA came out pretty well, but that's only because a lot of people spoke up for planetary exploration, for NASA, and we saw the results of that. So the pressure, we just got to keep bringing that, or else NASA turns into whatever other people's decision wants to be. You don't want people other than you. If you have an opinion about space exploration, you should make sure people know about it, because someone else will decide for you, and you may not like what they decide. So check out planetary.org/SOS for details about that.
All right. Now there is some bad news, right? Which is that NASA has shut down their plutonium program.
Yeah. So I'm always here. I make sure to always bring some bad news. So don't worry.
Yeah. That's really what we've come to expect from you, Casey, and I would be really sad that if you didn't have bad news for us.
Yeah. So don't worry. I'm always finding something. I want to be careful, because there's the plutonium program, which is generating plutonium, and that is still going ahead. That is good. We're solid on that. That's really important to distinguish that. So what NASA did shut down was this new way to use plutonium in a more efficient manner. So they came up with this right now, and for the last 50 years, NASA has used radioisotope thermoelectric generators. Basically, the no moving parts, the decay of plutonium creates heat. They turn that heat into electricity. They use that electricity to power spacecraft like Curiosity, Cassini, Voyager. They were going to use something called the Advanced Stirling Radioisotope Generator, which was a piston that would shoot back and forth, generating an electric and then make an electric field, creating electricity. And that was going to be 4 times more efficient, use a lot less plutonium, be lighter. The idea is you could use it on a lot more different missions than these big flagships. You can use it on smaller missions. So the Titan boat, which was proposed to land and float around in a lake in Titan, depended on one of these smaller ASRGs. Well, last fall, NASA decided, well, sorry, we're out of money. We can't make ASRGs anymore. Let's not. So they pulled the 2 that were in flight production. They're shutting down the program. We just had a nice update from Space News, which I highlighted on our blog, showing that 100 people have left the program in Denver at the Lockheed Space Systems. They're taking that hardware and they're kind of giving it to NASA Glenn to kind of keep the embers warm, just in case the budget situation improves. But it's one of those things where we're losing this as this was to be the next generation of space power technology. That's gone, and that's kind of it's a metaphor for what's happening at NASA now, where the money's so tight, we're barely able to maintain what we have, and creating the next generation of anything is becoming increasingly difficult.
Yeah, and we keep saying that we're in the golden age of space exploration and astronomy, but in many cases we're still really coasting on the momentum of all of these wonderful missions like Cassini and Opportunity and all these missions that were done back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? I mean, Hubble Space Telescope was envisioned back in the 80s, right?
Yes, yeah,
Earlier.
Exactly. Yeah, 1970s they decided to make a space telescope. What we're seeing now, is exactly what you said. It takes 8 years to build a spacecraft from proposal to design to construction to implementation to launch, and then to get it to where it's going, a decade usually. And so right now it is exactly what you said. We're coasting on the good investments of the past, and what we have ahead of us is a precipice of space science missions, not just planetary missions, but as you said, astrophysics. JWST is the only game in town, basically. You know, we have maybe the terrestrial planet finder. That's even further in the future. The decisions we make now are already impacting the future. We just don't see it yet, which is what makes this very hard. So again, we have once Cassini dies, once Opportunity finally dies, whenever that is in 100 years or so, once MRO and other things die, there's nothing there to replace them. And we're going to see this basic just collapse of our planetary missions and our space science missions, unless we start doing something now, which we're going to try to do in our legislative blitz.
Perfect. All right, now last week, we've been leading up to this, or 2 weeks ago actually, we had the Rosetta people from the Rosetta team to help us sort of explain what was going on. Last week we all pitched in to try and help wake Rosetta up, and apparently it worked. So Rosetta woke up.
Rosetta woke up. It was, I don't know if anyone else was watching the feed from the European Space Agency, but it was the most awkward thing, kind of tension-filled thing to watch a bunch of engineers who, you know, Rosetta talking about long-term project. They selected Rosetta in 1993. So this is 21 years ago. 21 years these people have been working on this mission, and they're sitting there like this, desperately hoping it's going to wake up from this deep freeze hibernation. And it came about, what, 30 minutes later than they expected, and so it was getting pretty awkward and tense there for a while. But it woke up. All the data that we're getting back from it suggests that the spaceship is healthy, the mission is moving forward, and we'll start getting amazing pictures of this comet that I won't even try to pronounce in May.
Chiriguri.
That's from Emily Lakdawala.
Yeah, so that's the good news. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else about Rosetta, but that was just something we should be happy for.
Did anyone here send in any video to try and help wake the spacecraft up? No? No.
The Society had a small one.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And so when's the next big thing going to happen with Rosetta?
I think in May, and I forget the exact date, is when we'll start seeing pictures of the comet. And then in August, it's actually going to be in orbit around the comet. And then November is when they're going to harpoon and land the little Philae lander on the surface of a comet, which will be pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Awesome. All right. Well, those are the big stories that I know you had. And if you need to book, you can head out.
I think I'll do that. Sorry, I can't talk to everyone else, but thank you for having me on today, everybody.
Thanks for coming, Casey.
Cheers.
All right. Well, now I think the other big piece of news.
Oh, can I interject? We need to talk about comments. Q&A app is not working. But we are talking over on the. It's not. The event page that you started for the video, there's a comment section there, a bunch of people talking on there. That seems to be stable at the moment, sort of. So leave a comment on the event page if you're watching this. I'll try and watch the YouTube comments too.
I'm seeing the QA app.
Well, nobody else is.
Okay.
Nobody seems to be.
Try it now.
Okay.
Try it now.
Try it again.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, you know what? I will watch the Q&A, and if questions go in there, then I will bring them up, and you watch all the other places.
Watch the events. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the Twitters and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's get on with the other big piece of news, which is water plumes on Ceres. Yay! Which, you know what? Wouldn't it be great if they sent a spacecraft to Ceres?
Wouldn't it be great?
Wouldn't it be amazing?
Spacecraft Ceres. So I know some folks at the Planetary Society are saying, gosh, we should send a spacecraft to Europa. Wouldn't that be great? Because our friend, well, not so neighborhood moon of Jupiter, Europa, is also spewing water into space from a sub-ice ocean. So, but Ceres is a lot closer. It's a dwarf planet in the outer part of the asteroid belt. And it's been also has 2 water vapor plumes, and it could be from cryovolcanism, which is ice volcanism, or from geysers or icy volcanoes. So it's actually pretty cool that you have another planet or another body in the solar system that's pretty large, spewing water, and it's a lot closer than Jupiter. And the other thing that Ceres doesn't have that Jupiter has is Jupiter has a really nasty radiation environment. So if you send a spacecraft to Ceres, you don't necessarily have to design for all the radiation issues that you would out at Jupiter. So that's kind of cool.
And so what was this discovery made with? Was it made with
the Herschel Space Telescope? So it's a European space telescope. So, and I think And that's pretty cool. So it's a team of Europeans who did this.
And what does it mean?
It means that there's some talk, actually, that Ceres is a refugee from the Kuiper Belt. So there are some models that indicate that Ceres could have originated further out in the solar system and moved inward during migration phases in the solar system, which is kind of interesting. And maybe it's sort of an overgrown comet. And that this is sublimation, this is ice transforming directly into gas and taking surface dust with it. So maybe underneath there'd be fresh ice. And if you sent a spacecraft there, you could actually see fresh ice from further out in the solar system and get an idea of what early conditions were like in the solar system.
So we did a hangout with some scientists with the Dawn mission, which is on its way to Ceres next year. We called it the Ceres series of hangouts. So you should go back and look at. I know. Shut up. It was awesome. But we did talk quite a bit about the possibilities of water on Ceres and the fact that they did expect to have some, but I don't think they were expecting plumes necessarily. So you can go back on the Astrosphere Vids page and see those hangouts with the scientists as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and also that the plumes are variable in time. They weren't necessarily happening continuously.
I wonder if there's something torquing it that we haven't, like a moon or something, because Europa and Saturn's moons, those are being torqued by having Jupiter nearby, say, for like Europa.
Yeah, that was the question that I was going to ask next, which was that, yeah, with Europa, clearly it's the gravitational interaction with Jupiter causing these tidal flexing, and you've got this water escaping onto space. With Enceladus, with Saturn, it's the same thing. But what could be the force that's causing it to flex? Or as you said, is it just that it's a comet?
Well, a lot of people like the idea of, oh, well, things are hitting it. Maybe there's meteorite impacts. People love that. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out next year when Dawn arrives at Ceres. So it'll be pretty.
Couldn't this also be just that, we're finding water in a lot of new places? Maybe water is just really common. We just hadn't seen so much of it before. Not just special class of objects.
But what's the process that's getting that water out into space, right?
Astronomers' hands wave wildly, as my undergraduate planetary geology teacher professor
let's send
would
a
say.
spacecraft.
Something hit it. Let's send a spacecraft. Oh wait, we've already got a spacecraft going.
We got a spacecraft that'll be there in a year.
When Dawn finds a moon next year, it can say like, "Yeah, we talked about it on Space Hangout."
Is that what it is? Is going to be a moon? All right.
I don't know.
I think people have pretty exhaustivexhaustively looked with Hubble for moons of Ceres, but we always find surprises when we show up at unexplored bodies in the solar system with a spacecraft. Heck, there are even surprises with Cassini at Saturn, things we weren't really expecting to see at all. So send spacecraft, be surprised, learn something new.
So the QA app is working. I'm going to try selecting a question and see if this works. So Alexander Howlett asks, is there a Saturn V Lego kit to satisfy Amy Sherr title? Does anybody know?
One.
Steven, do you know of one?
There was one about 11 years ago now as part of a Lego's Discovery theme. And basically, they teamed up with the Discovery Channel and released a bunch of space sets, including the Spirit and Opportunity Mars rovers, a lunar lander, a small Saturn V and lunar module, and a little space station model. And I collected all of them, but it would be a little difficult to find it now through third parties and stuff, since this was 11 years ago.
Looks like you have Juno over your shoulder.
Yeah, that's a Lego model of Juno that I built a while back.
Although
awesome.
how I built my first build of Stephen's Curiosity rover is from a website called Rebrickable, and oftentimes they provide information for lost Lego sets. As a kid, I pretty much had like every Lego Technic and space set from the late 70s through the late 80s. So it's no surprise that I'm building Curiosity.
Right. How's it coming?
Can you see this?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically got the chassis built. I'm getting ready to put on the front plate that the arm attaches to, and then I'll be working on the rocker bogie suspension. So it's going together nicely, although the instructions are completely different than Stephen's. I've built Stephen's Curiosity rover 3 times now, so this will be the 4th Lego Curiosity I've built. And the instructions are completely different than the other 3. So, but I think we'll have it done by the end of the Hangout.
All right. Well, since this is your 4th time, this has got to be going fast for you. I have confidence.
But this is different than the other three. But I'll make it. I'll make it.
So, Sonny, one last question about Ceres. Do you plan to zap it? Is your way?
So main belt, it's really far away. So I think we've done Ceres and Vesta once. Actually, we do some main belts that are closer, but Ceres is super far away, and we just don't do big main belts here. It just is not done. Also, the telescope's broken.
Right. Did you want to mention that? Did you want to quickly?
All right. Yeah. So there was a magnet.
Because I actually sent you.
I wasn't here.
Did you remember I sent you a video of the new Battlefield 4 game, and in that game, one of the scenes is in the Arecibo Observatory, and one of the things you can do is destroy the observatory, and I couldn't even bring myself to do it.
We should get royalties. So there was a magnitude 6.4 earthquake on Monday last week, which was a holiday here, and we had a bunch of students as part of the Alfalfa Consortium here learning about how to analyze pulsar data and not sleep. And on Monday there was an earthquake, and sort of some people saw, okay, some of the tension was affected in the tie downs, whatever, and kept observing. And then Tuesday, because the observatory was closed on Monday, Tuesday people went up to the hill to go look at the tie downs and said, oh God, or not the tie downs, the cables, and said this one's been damaged. That cable has actually been through a rough time. When it was built in the upgrade in the 80s, I think, it was made 1 meter too short, so they had to put these extenders on it. The back of it is encased in zinc, and so there's some pretty visible damage. They're going to get a fix going in about I don't know, maybe 6 weeks. It would be millions of dollars to replace it and rig it up. So the telescope isn't running right now, which is super sad because there's all sorts of exciting asteroids coming by, and we're hoping that the next couple of months it'll be back in business. But this also means when friends visit me, we can't go up to the telescope platform, and we can't even go under the dish like they did in those video game scenes Fraser sent me.
Yeah. What do? You got to plant some C4, drop those big towers, and then you drive your Jeep down below the dish. It's awesome. I mean,
I should contact the game writers and say, hey, you should contribute to a Save Arecibo Observatory Fund.
That's a good idea. All right. Well, the other big piece of news, of course, is the new supernova discovery in M82. So, Nicole, what's the lowdown on this?
I'm so excited! So I couldn't sleep, as usual, and found myself on Twitter at 5:30 in the morning, and people are talking about a new supernova that's gone off in M82. This is so exciting. So M82 is a galaxy. It's actually the nearest starburst galaxy to us, and it's right around the corner. It's only 12 million light years away, so that's close for us. And a supernova went off. It has been determined to be a Type 1a supernova. That makes it a white dwarf supernova. It is the closest of one of those to have happened since, I want to say that I've heard the dates thrown around for other nearby ones, but the latest I heard was the 70s, and so we've got much better telescopes now, so we can watch this one, track this one as it gets brighter. It hasn't even reached peak brightness yet. Learn something about how Type 1a supernova evolve, and learn something hopefully about the progenitor mechanism. That means what causes it. Is it a white dwarf and a red giant star, where the red giant's dumping material onto the white dwarf and it gets too close to the Chandrasekhar limit and explodes? Or is it two white dwarfs spiraling in on each other that then collide and form the supernovas? We're still not sure which of those two models is the most accurate. And so it's nearby. Everyone with a telescope is looking at it, and I know we had an almost discovery in the virtual star party last Sunday.
I know, I've got the video queued up, so we'll go to that in a
Okay, all right, I'll let you guys cover that, because I wasn't around for that. But it's really exciting. They're also going to hopefully doing some follow-up with radio telescopes to see the radio afterglow as well. I think that's kind of an intriguing prospect. And so, nearby supernova, these are the standard candles we use to do cosmology. It was involved in the discovery of dark energy in 1998, so it's so cool to have one happen so close by. Although I admit a lot of us were on Twitter going, really, Type 1a in M82? It's got a lot of star formation, a lot of recent star formation, so you expect there to be big stars and big core collapse supernova. But no, this appears to be a white dwarf supernova. So check it out. I am definitely going to try and go for it with the 8-inch telescope at our university over the next couple of weeks and see if I can show it at the Star Party.
We saw it at Star Party 2 nights ago.
Yeah, you did?
Cool. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, from downtown Tampa, as a matter of fact, which is pretty light polluted. So.
Yeah. So do you guys want to chime in on the virtual star parties? I can point out the discovery was just made by a bunch of undergrad students who were doing imaging M82 for a school project, and they noticed that there was a bright star that shouldn't be there, and made the announcement.
It was ironic because I rewatched that virtual star party afterwards, and we were talking about the possibility of a supernova in M82 while we were imaging.
Really?
Yeah. All right. Well, let me play this, and you can see just how close we were. This is unbelievable. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try and play my sound so you can actually hear us talking. I'm not sure it's gonna work, but we'll see. So just to set this up, John Kramer had posted an image of M82, and we were talking about how, because it's a star-forming galaxy, there are supernovae in it. So here, check this out. So here we are. Here's M82, all right. Okay. Does the sound coming through?
Here?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is Messier 82. M82, which is
right
a galaxy also commonly called the Cigar Galaxy in Ursa Major.
Yeah.
And you can see the dust, different distribution of this.
You got a cursor on it.
Well, the now cursor, not the then cursor.
One of the classic pictures. There's one that's taken by Hubble.
It's right there.
It shows.
Nobody called it.
It shows the cigar-shaped galaxy, but then also this crazy sort of filament structure that's coming off from the center of the galaxy as well. Something happened in this galaxy.
Yeah, that's what's called an active galaxy.
Here it comes.
I remember my astronomy lessons. It has a huge a lot of dust in it. Also has a very active star-forming region in it. And I don't think it's a producer of supernovae.
Except for this week.
It does put a lot of radiation. It's really prominent in the radio frequencies as opposed to optical.
Yeah. So.
Wah, wah.
I kicked myself, Fraser, because I was reconfiguring my telescope and I totally wasn't watching while you guys had that image up there. I might have seen it.
So Fraser, a supernova goes off in front of your face. What does it take to get your guys' attention?
Oh my god.
You missed it. Oh, and then Tom said, "Oh, I wish we had Nicole Gallucci here to explain that better." So just so people are clear, right? Because I think this is kind of important, right?
Because I would have been on Wikipedia at the same time looking up info, and I may have been like, wait, that looks silly. Wait.
The supernova was announced on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, they made the discovery on the 21st.
So we saw it on the 19th.
Yeah.
It was all over the net Wednesday morning, so.
Yeah.
So if one of us if anyone
had said, hey, that star doesn't belong there. Any of us
had said, that kind of looks like a supernova there.
And that's what the students at, I forgot what university, that's what the students at that particular university did. And they, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy for them. I'm sad for you guys, but I'm happy that a group of undergrads just getting started.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, how are they going to, one of them's like, how am I going to top that? Like, I discovered a supernova as an undergrad.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so Tom Nathie. Yeah, Tom Nathie says, facepalm, I'm so embarrassed. Tom, this was yours to lose, I got to say. It was right there in front of you. You were talking about supernova. If I had asked you, like, what does a supernova look like in the galaxy, we would have seen it. Anyway.
All you need to do is compare it against somebody else's image somewhere on the web, and that would have done it. That would have done it, I think.
How many people would be watching this right now if you could say, hey, come on in, we might discover a supernova?
Yeah. Well, we say that every week.
We're gonna catch an impact on Jupiter during one of the shows, so we'll make
that'll be the next. That's right, because we're catching all the live stuff. Anyway, it's super exciting. I can't wait to sort of see. It's going to be growing in brightness, David. Right? We're going to see it's going to.
The last time I saw on AAVSO was about 10.5 magnitude, 10.5. That's pretty. It's not quite binocular brightness, but it's close. It's a small telescope. You can pick it up. We picked it up. It was a 12-inch Dobsonian we were using Wednesday night, and we saw it.
Great.
I'm excited. It's good. I was too young for 1987A, and that was in the Southern Hemisphere. So this is like, I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. The universe owes us a bright nearby supernova. So Like it owes us a comment. Okay, well, you know what? I want to move on now and talk with Elizabeth, who just returned from Mars. And last time I think we had you, we were sending you off to Mars.
Yes, exactly. It was a long trip. You know, it took many, many planes, many pieces of luggage. It was a terrible trip. No, I went to Utah's Mars Desert Research Station, and I was there with a group of people led by the University of North Dakota, actually, and we were trying to do a science, basically, out there. And what made it interesting is that we were trying to make it as close to Mars exploration as we could. And so one of the things we did, actually, was every time we went outside, we put on a spacesuit, like literally. We'd have a jumpsuit on, and then we would put on a little bubble helmet, and we'd have a backpack on our backs and have these boots on and gaiters to kind of keep the mud out, and then we'd go striding out into the desert. And it's weird, like I don't know if you have the pictures there, Fraser, but it makes the landscape look completely different if you put somebody there in a mock spacesuit in front of it. And it was a challenge to work in these things. They weren't fully pressurized. You know, we could still move our hands and move our legs and all of that, but it still got hot in those things, and they were heavy. And when you're walking up a hill, you're not too sure where your center of gravity is going to be. If you're going to go tumbling down, that'd be a really bad day, so you're trying not to do that. And then you're trying to do work. You know, you're trying to put up radio telescopes or to do communication studies or check out the geology of the area. It's a really challenging, but also really a lot of fun.
Yeah, you sent in a video of what you were doing, and I'm gonna show that it's pretty long and there's lots of cool parts to it. But I'm gonna show the part of you guys heading outside here. Let's see. Hold on.
You guys didn't get caught up in the polar vortex, did you, Elizabeth, out there?
Actually, we had some travel problems on the way in because remember that big snowstorm that hit the East Coast around January 2nd? Yeah. Almost everybody got caught in that. I luckily went right over it into Vegas, and so I didn't have to stop at Washington or Boston or anywhere else that was being destroyed by the snow. But a bunch of our crew members were delayed by hours, and for a while we didn't even know if we'd get there on time because one guy even got his luggage kind of confiscated in the whole fiasco, so it was a long flight for them.
So working? Let's see. You can't hear the music. Hold on, let me see if I can play the music here, because it's just... I don't know. Is it a B movie?
I gotta say, it looks like an old Planet of the Apes movie.
Yeah, is this, you know... That's great.
I'm waiting for Sean Connery to show up in a Speedo with a plastic gun.
Yeah, I think this is great. I mean, I mentioned this last time when you were heading off that stop you that this is the way we're going to explore space, right? Is that we're going to send people to figure out what it takes to actually hammer rocks into the ground, and what does it take to set up antenna, and what does it take to prepare a healthy, nutritious meal, and where are you going to go to the bathroom, and all that kind of stuff.
I've built a radio telescope in a park in the snow. Does that count?
Yeah, that's halfway to Mars.
Well, it's totally ethical because it's such a challenge to figure out all the little individual things. I mean, it even came down to, for me, trying to figure out how to cook for 6 people using dehydrated food. I wasn't doing a very good job, and my crew members were letting me know after about a week. They said, you know, Elizabeth, it's okay. We can take care of our breakfast and lunch and just have you spend all your brain power trying to think about dinner. That's basically how they were doing it. And but it's just all these little things, you know. How do you sleep while you're out there? You know, how do you shower, especially when we had a water shortage for 4 days? We had to figure out substitutes for that kind of thing. How do you hammer in a radio telescope when you're wearing this heavy spacesuit backpack and trying to do that at the same time? And all these little procedures, all these little mental things, physiological things, physical things are going to be hopefully coalesced into a database somewhere and then given to whoever makes it out to the planet first, because we need all the data we can get to figure this stuff out.
Would you sit down and talk with any of the people who want to go on the one-way mission to Mars and try to talk them out of it? You talk them into it?
I don't know if it's really a talk in, talk out. It's sort of your personality, whether you want to be more of a colonizer, somebody who goes over and wants to stay there, or if you're more of a person who just wants to explore and then come back and tell their friends good stories over beer at the end of the day. So I think it's more of a function of your personality, whether you want to go there or back. But anyway, I'd be happy to talk to them.
What if you're the kind of person who wants to suffocate on the surface of an alien planet?
Pardon me?
What if you're the kind of person who wants to suffocate on the surface of an alien planet?
Well, then I don't have anything to say to you there, because you're trying to stay alive. You're really trying to stay alive.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. No, that's great. I'm really glad you got a chance to do that. And I'm sure we'll see it in your writing.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, if anybody else is interested in doing this, it's run by the Mars Society, and every year they have a call for volunteers to go out to these places. So you need to put in your application. There's one in Canada on Devon Island, and there's also another one in Utah, although I think the Devon Island one might be a bit occupied with their one-year mission, but you never know. Anyway, just go to their website, check it out in a few months around the summertime. You should see some application details for the Mars Society, Mars Desert Research Station.
Fantastic. All right. Man, still so many stories. This is absolutely going to run long, and I apologize in advance, but it's going to run long. And if anyone needs to go, you absolutely can. All right. So let's talk to Morgan Renberg about NASA's quantum computer. Morgan.
Yeah. So you might remember last year, NASA teamed up with Google and a group of universities to buy one of the first commercially available quantum computers. And they set it up at Ames Research. And they've been testing it basically nonstop since last summer through till now. And they just came out with sort of a glimpse at how it's performed for them so far. And for the things that it's really good at, it's just as good as the best computers we have today. And that's impressive considering how young the quantum computing field is. But there's also a lot of caveats there. There's a reason that we don't all have quantum computers sitting on our desks. For practical purposes, you have to cool these things down to just a hair over absolute zero. Yeah, so they're also about the size of a room, so you need a pretty big desk. But we're talking about cooling these things down to millikelvin, so way colder than space. And these aren't general-purpose computers, which means that you can't, install Windows on one and then, open Google Chrome and have a Hangout. They only solve a few problems, and what they're good at is optimizing things. And it's pretty easy to think about why Google might want to optimize things. Every time you do a Google search, you're asking them to take your input information, compare it to the internet, and optimize the best answer for you to have. But it's a little bit harder to see maybe why NASA would want that until you sort of look ahead. And we were talking earlier about James Webb, and we have LSST being started now down in Chile. And astronomy is sort of poised here to generate sort of unknowable amounts of data. And we need a way to sift through that. And it turns out that, at least in theory, quantum computers are really good at going through and sifting for, say, finding all the spiral galaxies or looking for supernova. They can do these things much more efficiently in theory than actual classical, normal, silicon computers can. But we're not there yet.
Yeah, I had a chance to see a presentation from NASA and Google about the D-Wave computer that they were using, and the gist of the whole presentation was, we're pretty sure it's a quantum computer, but we're not entirely sure.
Yeah, this sort of hinges on part of the problems that they're having, which is quantum computers are made up of these things called qubits, or quantum bits. And basically, you're taking tiny little, very tiny, fundamentally sized particles and linking them together so that you can manipulate them as ones and zeros like we do in a normal computer. But this is really, really tough to do. And this sort of state-of-the-art quantum computer has only 512 of these, and they're really noisy, which means quantum mechanics is based on probability, so you don't always get the same answer. And in fact, with a computer like this, you very often don't get the same answer. And so you don't know, is this a quantum computer, or is this sort of, the algorithms that we have to use to program it bleeding through and giving us the answer. And we're not there yet in terms of sort of answering that question, but as we continue to test them, we're going to get a better sense of whether it's working and how well it works.
Yeah, I think it's just so hilarious that they've got to the point with this device that they're fairly sure that it's just doing the thing. Like I can't even, you bought a dishwasher and you weren't entirely sure it was washing your dishes with water in there. Could be gnomes, maybe water. You're not sure. So that was the gist of the presentation that I saw. And and people are still arguing. People are still questioning whether or not it is actually truly a quantum computer. So that's exciting. And also a harbinger of our future robot apocalypse. So let's move on. Dave Dickinson.
Yes.
Tell us the things we're going to be able to see in space soon.
Oh, this weekend we've got one of the first occultations of Saturn by the Moon. I wrote about that on Universe Today this week. Most of the world will see a near miss, but it will be kind of cool to see them paired very, very close within a degree, and the Moon's only half a degree in apparent size. So tomorrow morning, if you get up and look and see, the Moon just passed first quarter yesterday, so it's going to be waning crescent. It's going to be very, very close to the planet Saturn. And if you happen to live down in South America, you'll actually see, like in Argentina and Chile, they're actually going to see the Moon occult Saturn for the first time for this year. It's going to actually occult it 11 times, and we're going to have one that's going to be a daytime occultation here in North America in August. Probably is going to be the best one we're going to see here. Saturn is it's a tough one to see with the telescope. You'll be able to see it in the daytime on the limb of the Moon, though it's not the easiest. All the planets get occulted by the Moon except Neptune and Jupiter in 2014, so it's going to be an interesting year as far as watching the path of the Moon and seeing where the Moon is going. And the Moon is approaching new here at the end of this week, and then it's going to be coming back around again. So we actually have 2 new moons this month. That's kind of unusual as well. We had one January 1st, and we have one January 30th. So, and next month we have no new moons. So that's kind of unusual too.
And then April we've got a lunar eclipse.
Yes, we have 2 lunar eclipses this year, and North America gets to see them both. So although there are no total solar eclipses this year, we kind of make up for it with 2 lunar eclipses, and there are 2 partial. There's one annular solar eclipse and one partial solar eclipse that North America will see in October. There's only 4 eclipses total this year, 2 lunar and 2 solar, and that is the minimum number you can have in 1 year. So,
yeah. Now, last week we introduced, it's so funny, we introduced this video from Mike Phillips, who joins in the Virtual Star Party. He did this great image of Jupiter and its moons moving back and forth, and I, he talked to me and he sort of let me know that he'd done this, and I was like, that's fantastic, but I want to see, because it was just kind of going back and forth, and I said, I want to see the whole thing. I want to see the whole thing rotate all the way around, please. And he said, yeah, I think I could probably, I think that data's there. And so he stitched together, I don't know whether he did this on my behalf, but he stitched together a full rotation of Jupiter. So I just want to show this
it's pretty amazing. Yeah, Jupiter, I thought at first he shot that all in one night, but I asked him, and he shot that in a series of 5 nights. And he said he was lucky that he had clear weather for 5 nights, because the cloud patterns on Jupiter changed. So in order to stitch that all together in the program he was using, if he couldn't have really waited too long, otherwise it would have been too radically different to get it all stitched together. But you can see Jupiter rotates once every 9.9 hours, so you can kind of see a rotation all in one night.
So look at this. Again, music. I know it's very silent here.
And yeah, it's and I compared that for fun. I was looking through other spacecraft animation, and we actually found a rotation animation from New Horizons, and his stacks up pretty well against it.
Move. Okay. There. Just stop. Just start again.
I think it's also in ultra high HD, I noticed.
Yeah. But isn't that just terrific? Like, have you ever seen anything like this done by an amateur astronomer?
Go, Mike!
Just amazing. Yeah. All right.
It's amazing how we can stitch all those together too, and it's pretty seamless. I mean, like I said, I've seen NASA rotations from other spacecraft that you can see on YouTube, like New Horizons, that aren't as detailed as that. New Horizons was the last one to fly by Jupiter in 2006, I believe it was. No, it took off in 2006. I think it was 2008 New Horizons went by Jupiter.
And then I think the last thing we're going to have time for, well, maybe we got a little more time. I've been moving things along pretty quickly, which is Mike Simmons, we haven't heard from yet, and you were going to bring some stories about John Dobson, or a story.
Well, yeah. Well, we talked about John Dobson before, and I've sort of been struck by the fact that most people seem to have a more current take on John Dobson. All the pictures that seem to be out there, he's like in his 80s, which is, it's not that recent even for him. But he's been around since the 70s, and everybody talks about him as the inventor of the Dobsonian mount, which is funny. First of all, he told me he's the last person they should name something after because he objects to calling things Newtonian or Cassegrain. He doesn't think designs should be named after a person, and he got one named after him. But what he did was he started making them for the first time, and he was a character. He was out in the 70s. They didn't let him in some of the national parks to do his thing because he wore nothing but a loincloth because it was hot, and that's what he felt comfortable in. And so he and his merry band of hippies traveling around in a 60s style bus were a little out of the ordinary, and they weren't always welcome in these public places. But he's the first one that really took astronomy to the people on the streets. We used to do star parties out in dark sky places, where we were used to going with our equatorial telescopes, and nobody did anything like what he did. And it was just like, what were we thinking? We'd have a star party 100 miles away, and nobody would come. So he just really changed everything. That's his big contribution. He got people to get out on the street, like everybody's seen him in the videos. Hey, come see the moon, come look at the sun. And he would stand there. He was a real circus barker. So he's a real character, but he really started the movement. It seems so natural now, but nobody did that. It was really everybody out in the dark someplace with equatorial telescopes that they had to build themselves most of the time. So he really has a, I don't know if we would have anything like we have in terms of outreach now. He's really the father of everything that's going on now.
I think we've got some good outreach happening this time around, but I think, you've all, a bunch of the people here have done a lot of the sidewalk astronomy, right? Like Ray, you've been out with your telescope. I know David, you've been out with your telescope. Nicole's been out with the telescope, and that is the greatest experience when you're out there on the sidewalk, on the corner, with your telescope, and who knows who's going to come by. In many cases, these people have never looked through a telescope in their whole lives, and suddenly they can't believe their eyes. They're looking at Saturn. They're looking at Jupiter, the moons of Jupiter, looking at the craters on the moon, and it blows their mind. And it is this connection that you can give people from the just the day-to-day experience that they normally have to this connection to the cosmos. And it is one of the greatest gifts I think you can give people. And so that's why I just think what he pushed forward with sidewalk astronomy will resonate on for hundreds of years.
Millions of people have seen things as a result of him. Imagine if we had all these people doing astronomy and nobody was doing it on the sidewalks. Everybody was out by themselves or the rest of their friends, and all the telescopes were the big fancy computerized one. We didn't have commercial companies then really much at all. So it's just one of those things. It's hard to imagine a world without what we're doing. I work with countries everywhere in the world, more than 100, and it is the most common thing that amateur astronomers do by far, everywhere.
So what did we miss? Elizabeth, I know you were going to mention, which one do you want? I give you a choice. Which one do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about your spacewalks, or do you want to talk about NASA probes for climate change?
Let's go over the spacewalks. And so there's an interesting bit out of that leak investigation that's been going on, seems like forever, but just to bring people up to speed again, what happened was there was a leak over the summer in a helmet during a spacewalk. Very bad thing, obviously, so NASA was pulling everybody off spacewalks while they tried to figure out what to do. As we all remember, however, there was an ammonia leak on the space station in December, and so NASA brought out these snorkel things and also these pads, and they said, okay, we're good to go. We're going to let the astronauts go outside, do the fix, and there absolutely was no problem with the spacesuit. However, they still don't know exactly how that leak happened. They have traced it down to basically a fan pump separator inside of the backpack, but they just don't know what exactly caused it. And because of that, they're not really sure if they're going to go forward with any sort of routine spacewalks in the near future. And so it was interesting because I was talking to the Expedition 40 crew, Expedition 3940 crew, which is going to be launching in March, and they have a couple of spacewalks on the books. They're going to be essentially doing some cleanup tasks on the station, but they don't know if they're going to do it yet. They're just sitting there waiting and saying, well, maybe we'll go, maybe we don't. It just really depends on what NASA finds with those spacesuits in the near future.
I like the fact they've got like a snorkel they can breathe through inside the helmet.
Yeah, what they essentially did was they took a pipe and they repurposed it, and then they have it there as an emergency spot, because then you can breathe from a spot down here, sort of at your chest, instead of out of the helmet where the leak might be happening. So it's an emergency backup procedure, and surely you don't want that to be happening, but if you really needed to, at least you got a backup.
Ray Sanders, how's it coming? Look at that.
Wow!
Is that done? You can't
We
hear
can't hear you.
Oh.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
Yeah. I'm Ray Sanders, and I built a Lego Rover. It's pretty great.
I do more than that.
All right.
Thanks for the captioning. No, what I was saying is, just as you were talking about the spacesuits, I was thinking of Apollo 13 with the plastic bags and duct tape and all sorts of inventiveness, and here we are having NASA inventiveness.
Slow down, slow down. You're like a bumblebee moving around. Pick it up. Higher, higher. There we go. Yeah. And slowly turn it. Nice.
I'm used to my other camera. This camera on my laptop is not as good about capturing fast motion.
That's fantastic. All right, and Steven, do you have your version? Let's see. We'll hold them both up, and we'll go back and forth and make sure we can compare.
Oh, the original version?
Yeah, hold on for a second, Fraser. I've got his in case he doesn't have it.
Oh, you got more, so you're going to hold up like a bunch of them here.
Oh my gosh!
Look at this.
Rovers.
I have
So many Rovers.
Overlords.
It's Rover Mania. I love it.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, the one I'm holding is the original prototype that I submitted to the CUSA website.
Cool.
Well,
Can you
Ray
just go into a
has
store and
the
buy
official
a Curiosity?
Yes.
Apparently, it's not available in stores, only
I
online.
posted a link. Yeah, I posted a link on the comments of the event page. So if you want to go check that out.
That's awesome.
And actually, here is this one is spare parts. This one is all my spare parts, and
Oh my god!
it is ugly, but
It's
so
adorable.
we kind of keep it in the engineering room away from all the other ones. But yeah, so now I'm the proud owner of 3.5 Mars rovers, and so yeah, I need to make sure I don't get them wet or.
Yeah, if you can't find evidence of the proper conditions for life in the ancient past, then I don't know what to do. Like, you've got everything you need.
I need to make sure I don't get them wet or feed them after midnight, otherwise I'm going to be really in trouble.
Okay, cool. Well, why don't we wrap this up then? I think we've sort of reached our hour. I'm sorry to be moving so quickly through all the stories, because there just was so much this week. So I'm going to give everyone a chance to kind of where we can find out more and learn more and so on. So I'm going to start alphabetically by first name with Sondi, which I know is very strange, but that's not her real name. So
you can find me at Sondi, S-O-N-D-Y, on Twitter, and I've been terrible about updating my own blog, so yeah, just find me on Twitter with lots of snark and vim and complaints about the telescope not working.
Well, keep us up to date, because that is a really important observatory. So, all right, Dave Dickinson, where do we find out more?
See, I am Astroguys with a Z. I was active this week on my own site, on Universe Today, on Listosaur.com, and I will be doing public viewing at Starkey Park tomorrow night with Pasco County astronomers. Free to all if you're in the Tampa Bay area. Come on out. So it looks like it's going to be clear tomorrow night. And I'll be doing the virtual star party Sunday night.
Yeah, awesome.
Two star parties this weekend.
So many star parties. Elizabeth, where do we find out more?
You can go to my Twitter feed, which is Howell Space, Howell Space, and I've been active this week on all sorts of places actually because of the Mars mission. So if you go to my website, which is elizabethhowell.ca, and you go into media appearances there, you can see some of the places where I've been on in the past week. In addition, of course, the usual reporting for Universe Today, Space, and a few other places. Astronomers Without Borders, obviously.
Mike Simmons, where do we find out more?
AstronomersWithoutBorders.org, and we'll have Global Astronomy Month coming up soon too, and you'll hear more about that. And if you find something on the website you want to comment on, you can talk to our communications manager, Elizabeth Howell, or our webmaster, Ray Sanders' wife, Liz. So it looks like we're being assimilated.
We are.
We're going to take over.
Yeah, this is one of the things that people don't realize, is that when you come into this family, you get
assimilated into a lot.
You get assimilated, yeah.
My grandfather used to say, "The family that sticks together is stuck."
So of course the 70s child in me has got "We Are Family" running through my head now. That's disco song's going to be stuck all day long. Thanks to Fraser.
Thanks for the earworm, Ray.
Thanks for sharing
Hey,
that.
I had to share it. I'm not going to be stuck with it by myself. See, we are family. We bicker like siblings.
Morgan, where do we find out more?
Yeah, the website's cosmicchatter.org, cosmic_chatter on Twitter.
And as the new guy starting to feel how, you get put to work in many different ways, you're also working with CosmoQuest, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep, we'll be doing the monthly news roundup in about a week, so probably before next episode.
Excellent. Resistance is futile. Nicole Gallucci, who is already deeply assimilated into the Borg structure.
I am, yes. So I'm over at cosmoquest.org, where I this week blogged about the supernova at M82 and a really cool lunar panorama from Chang'e. So check that out on cosmoquest.org. Also like to do a brief announcement since Matthew Francis couldn't make it. He's in charge of Cosmo Academy, which is our online classes. So we've got a new schedule up. Ray is one of our instructors. I don't know if you've got a new one coming up. And I will be teaching in
probably the summer.
You'll probably do a summer class. I'm doing an astrobiology class. Matthew's teaching about dark matter. So go to cosmoacademy.org to look for those new classes. I'm also blogging again for Discovery and on as Noisy Astronomer. So all over the place.
Ray Sanders, where do we find out more?
My blog, dearastronomer.com, Twitter, dearastronomer, or as Nicole was just saying, the cosmoquest.org, or actually more specifically, Cosmo Academy, where hopefully this summer I'll have either a new course or be teaching one of my other like Astro 101, Astro 102 courses. So
fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, and Stephen, this is your chance. Shamelessly self-promote the stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, I guess the best place to go would be the Kuso website at lego.kuso.com. There's a link there to my project page, and on that page are links to my Flickr stuff, so you can see all sorts of all my other space models like Cygnus and Voyager and Juno, and there's also links to digital models of for a Lego model of the Sky Crane that you could build to go with your Curiosity kit if you want. So there's just a lot of interesting stuff there.
But Stephen, you're still keeping your day job, right? I mean, you didn't quit building Mars rovers to build models of Mars rovers.
No, I'm still a mechanical engineer designing a spacecraft.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. And of course, I am publisher of Universe Today. And now, one quick announcement is that we are in the process of creating a whole bunch of actual podcast feeds for all of the video and audio that we're doing. So I know that the audio of this show goes out on the Astro 365, but there's no place that you can get the video, nor there's no place to get the audio or the video of the Virtual Star Party or the explainers, the guide to space that we on YouTube. So now you can. So if you actually go to YouTube and you do a search for sorry, not YouTube, so if you go to iTunes and you do a search for Universe Today, you can see all of the guide to space videos that we're doing there. You can actually just download them and they show up on your portable player just the way a podcast would. So, and we're going to try and sort of do that with Astronomy Cast, the Astronomy Cast videos as well. Those are going to start showing up in the Astronomy Cast feed, and so we've got plans to try and make all this stuff available. And
we have them also on the YouTube channel, Astrosphere Vids has been posting all the Hangouts.
Yeah, no, I mean, so there's lots of this stuff on YouTube, but people can't, like, well, people are watching it right now, but there's a ton of people that just want this to show up on their device, and that they want to have it like any podcast. And so the plan is these will all start being podcasts as well. So I know a lot of people have been asking for that. So we this out with the stuff we've been doing with Universe Today, the short videos, and then we're going to try and do some of the longer stuff. So that'll be coming soon. Cool. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for the great crew. This is fantastic, and thanks to the universe for providing so many awesome stories this week. It was a real treat, and it was a real special treat to see the Curiosity rover come together in Lego. That was thanks, Ray, for putting this together, and Stephen, thanks for building it. We really appreciate it. All right. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye. What up, yo?
And as I said, we got our two special guests, Ray and Steven. So we're going to go through that. So now we have got a ton of stories, and I'm going to do my best to try and adhere to our hour-long-ish format, but I am warning you, we have got quantum computers, water plumes on Ceres. We've got Elizabeth Mock Mars, upcoming spacewalks, opportunities, 10th anniversary, what's happening with NASA funding, Rosetta waking up, woo! What's going on in the sky with the moon. We've got Venus, this Jupiter rotation. We've got, man, it keeps going on.
Missing my
Chang'e, and of course the new supernova discovered in M82. Supernova. So we're going to get into all of that. So first, before we get onto the stories, we've got the special guest. So let's get onto that. So Stephen, can you please sort of tell us the story of how you got a chance to design Rover, a Curiosity rover, and turn it into Lego? It's awesome.
Well, at the time, I submitted my model with the idea that I'd add it just before the actual rover was launched from Earth, you know, to sort of when it would be in the news, so people would know what it was they were looking at when they saw it on the CUSO page. And I got the 10,000 supporters in another period of good luck timing when it was a couple weeks after the rover landed when I got the 10,000 supporters, which worked out very well time-wise. And from there, it went through the review process, it passed, and now people can get their own little Curiosity rover to play with on their desktops and in their living rooms and see if their house could ever have supported microbial life in the distant past.
Right. If there ever was, environments that could have supported microbial life in their apartment. I love it. So Ray, so can you point your camera down? Can we see what you're up to here? See hung?
I'm not hung. I'm actually on my laptop because my desktop PC was acting goofy. So I'll try and tip the camera here. This could be.
Is duplicate me still there? I tried to eject it.
Duplicate you is not here.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
I just ejected myself.
For some reason, you won't know who I am and what I do, what my job is. All right. We'll go with this for now. Hey, everybody. My name is Fraser Cain. I'm the publisher of Universe Today, and this is your weekly space hangout for Friday, January 24th, 2014. And we have a very special episode today. We are going to do an unboxing Lego build of the Mars Curiosity rover. So before we kind of get on to everybody else who's joining us, I got to introduce, we got Ray Sanders, who has been organizing this for a couple of weeks with me, and Ray is going to be unboxing the Lego Curiosity rover, and over the course of this hangout, right, you're going to be building it? That's the plan?
Yeah, that's the plan, Fraser.
All right. And then we also have Stephen Packbez, who is the designer of the Lego kit, and so he's going to be talking about the kit as Ray attempts to build it, and hopefully Ray will get it finished before the end of the show.
It was early 2011, I was working at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. In fact, I was working as a mechanical engineer on the actual Curiosity rover, and I'm also a big fan of Lego. It's a big hobby for me. You can see the hundreds and hundreds of drawers of little Lego pieces behind me, and I wanted to make a little Lego model for myself just so I could show my friends and family what the real Curiosity rover would look like when it was fully assembled, because at the time it was spread around across the entire laboratory. And I also wanted to have a rocker bogie suspension system mechanism to play with on my own, because the guys at JPL don't exactly let new engineers like me go out and take the real rover for joyrides or anything. So in a single 3-day weekend, I had most of it figured out. I showed my friends, family. They told me, my friends told me about the CUSO website, where you can submit ideas for potential Lego models. And if you get enough supporters, if you get 10,000 supporters, Lego will review your model. And if it passes the review, they'll turn it to an actual Lego set. So with some
show. What do you think, Stephen? Think he's got a chance?
He'll have to build fast if it's only an hour-long show.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the show goes a little long because, as you can see, we have a crowd. So let's get on with introducing the people we've got here. So we've got Sandy Springman from Arecibo Observatory. We've got Casey Dreyer from the Planetary Society.
Hello.
Got David Dickinson.
Hey, staying warm.
Is a puny human sci writer.
I couldn't put science; it wouldn't fit it all the way. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it was a scroll over.
Yeah.
We got Elizabeth Howell. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey.
You're back from Mars. Oh, that's
Indeed.
that's Alan's thing.
I know he's not here though, so I stole it.
So we want to talk. We're going to talk to you about what happened on Mars. So we'll get back to you in a second as well. We got Mike Simmons from Astronomers Without Borders. Mike, you are sticking around. This is great.
Oh, why not? I've got nothing else to do. No, this is great. I love this.
Awesome. All right. We got Morgan Renberg. Hey, Morgan.
Hi.
And this is your second week too. This is great, man.
It is. I'm
what a crowd. Dr. Nicole Gallucci, the noisy astronomer.